Back. You're still watching Breakfast in Bed, and like I said earlier before the break, we have a guest. She's joining us online to talk about flight etiquette. Like we said earlier, we talked about things that have happened in the aviation sector in the past few weeks. But here we are. We want to know what the right things to do while on the plane. Why should we switch off our phones while on the plane, and why don't they want us to bring anything liquid on board the plane, on board? Yes. So my guest today is Ifeoluwa Onifade. She's an aviation expert, popularly known as the Queen of the Skies. Welcome, Ife. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's get straight into the old brouhaha that's been happening in the aviation sector. What are your thoughts about it first? Let's start. I want to get your perception about the old drama that has happened in the past few weeks.
Okay, thank you very much. It's funny, and at the same time, it's a little sad to see all this aviation drama in the news. Suddenly, everyone has become an expert, on social media. But the truth is, when the system is not well explained to the public, confusion will always create this drama. So let's take the recent incident, that's the value jets and the Eagle Air cases as an example. People tend to treat them like some kind of gist, but in aviation nothing is just a gist. Every single action on board is quite tied to laws, they are tied to safety, they are tied to perception. So let's take, for instance, the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. They've made it really clear under the Chicago Convention, about how the pilots in command and the crew members are responsible for maintaining orderliness, maintaining safety throughout the flight. So Nigeria kind of adopts this through their Nigerian Civil Aviation Regulations, which is the NCAR Part 19. For instance, it covers the unruly passengers and it gives the cabin crew authority to issue binding instructions in the interest of safety. So when you step into an aircraft, you are not in like a Danfo bus, right?
Yeah.
You are in a controlled environment, you are in a regulated environment. Rules don't stand for status or for fame or for your vote, right? That's why we have to do, offering a drink, not just post and all that. So by law, they are the safety officers that are backed by the ICAO Annex, with the authority to act in accordance with safety and all that. So this is why you might be asked to do a lot of things that seem unnecessary. For example, they are asked to maybe turn off your phone or switch your phone to airplane mode.
Yeah, why do they tell people to do that? Why? What's the essence? Why?
Alright. So some airlines, kind of insist on switching it off completely because even the slightest electromagnetic interference can disrupt the cockpit communication systems. Alright, so it's just like ensuring there is safety in the critical phases of flight. You have critical phases of flight, times where there is a takeoff, there is landing, there is descent, there's approach. So you need every kind of attention, no distractions and all that. Or maybe when you are told to fasten your seatbelt now during takeoff or landing, it's not that random. All these things are usually to just enforce safety. They are like the critical phases of flight. So if the seatbelt sign comes on mid-air, it usually means the pilot has sighted maybe turbulence ahead. So when the crew insists, you have to just comply, right? It's not like them nagging, it's just the safety protocol backed by the global regulation.
Okay, Ife, let me let Dayo ask you a question. Dayo.
Yeah, good morning. So moving forward, because over the years we've had issues of, do you know who I am at airports? So how do we manage personality clash with either air hostels or pilots? Did you get that?
I didn't get that.
No,
Okay.
he said, how do we manage personality clash? Because at the airports where people come and say, do you know who I am and all?
Yes. Okay. Yes, it's bound to happen, right? We tend to deal with people all of that. The person can be having a bad day, right? It
Yeah.
may even be the flight attendant. The flight attendant might be having a bad day. As a matter of fact, a lot of Nigerian flight attendants are tagged as, blame road, right? And then you will be wondering, was this not the job, you actually paid for? If you're having a bad day, the passengers are not just the ones, who should actually pay for it. Because of course the industry is all about, service, is about a lot of service to humanity. So when we are dealing with people of high status, celebrities, and all of that, we need to focus on not just the authority aspect. We need to also, put into consideration emotional intelligence, because if we lack that, a little issue might spark, into a full-blown wildfire.
Interesting.
So, as regards the topic, I want to ask, what's the difference between flight etiquette and politeness? Why is it important for passengers to follow that?
Okay. The question is, what's the difference between flight etiquette and what?
Politeness.
And politeness.
And politeness. And politeness. All right. Okay. That's a very good question. Now, let's break it down further. In both the value jet and the Ibom Air cases, you realize it was not just about the passengers, right? It was about the cabin crew, it was about the airport staff that reacted. So in aviation, how you handle the crisis is often more important than the crisis itself. There's what we call the ICAO Annex 17 on security emphasis. It has to do with not just the security. It emphasizes on, compliance, being, factoring professionality and communication in handling, security-related disruptions. So while you are trying to enforce the flight etiquette, you have to also be polite at the same time, right? Because passengers really remember the way, the regulation is being fixed. As a matter of fact, they don't even know a lot of these regulations. They remember how you actually made them feel.
Yeah.
No, so interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, Dayo.
No, go on.
Okay, so looking at the old drama that happened with Ibom Airline, so the passenger physically assaulted the air hostess. Not many of us are. We're not all. We don't all have the grace and the virtue of patience. Now, in such situations, people who intend to be air hostesses or air hosts, and they see this, how would you advise? Do you think the air hostess handled the situation the proper way by not letting her alight from the plane? Or do you think there would have been a better way she should have handled it?
Okay, yes, there should have been a better way, because like I said, you have to factor emotional intelligence. Right, you are being placed there to enforce safety, to enforce, security and all that. You are more like, under the law, you are guided to ensure safety. But at the same time, you need to put yourself in people's shoes. You need to factor empathy, all right? Because these people are humans too. They are also going through a lot, just like you're going through. So we need to try as much as possible to make sure we are firm, and at the same time, we pass across our information or requests with some kind of finesse.
Okay, now looking at the aviation sector, so Kwam was given a 6-month ban, now reduced to 1-month ban. It will now be made a champion for security, airline, aviation security. Now, does this speak well for the aviation sector? Because to me, and I think to many Nigerians, it's looking like, well, so if you know somebody or you feel you have a name, you can as well get away with so many things.
And one other thing, please ask her, can she explain that title?
It's kind of like stirred some kind of emotions on a side.
Yes.
You might want to, it's trying to make them pass the message across more to the public, like letting them know, okay, they are law-abiding citizens and all that, just ensuring the public so the right path. But at the same time, it means anyone can just go about, being unruly, and they might as well get away with it. So it is like a two-faced scenario. All right.
Okay, so she was suspended. I'm talking about the pilot. Now before we talk about her suspension, she moved that plane.
Yeah.
After no, after several, I know several beggings would have come up, please move, this it. So she moved that plane. And people are saying she moving the plane, yeah, might be unethically wrong, but what's your thought about it? Would you have advised that she should delay the passengers, or what she did was maybe the next best option?
Okay, so everything in aviation is always in the interest of safety, right? So you realize, should in case that pilot had moved the plane and the passenger died, what would have been the situation by now? Okay, so as much as we can get really angry on the job, we need to also understand that two wrongs do not make a right, right? We need to understand that sometimes people can trigger our feelings, and we just need to exercise patience with the way we tend to go about situations. Okay, but on the other side, the passenger too was wrong. But like I said, we are safety officers, pilots are safety officers, flight attendants are safety officers. So we wouldn't want to be at the end where we tend to jeopardize safety.
Okay, so I'm here thinking now. So for passengers who were on that plane and who would have demanded that, I know there will be lots of pressure. Let's go, move. Yep. So what's your advice to passengers who might be on such plane when such situations are happening? Because I know the pressure might be too much for the cabin crew and also the pilots, and maybe that's why she moved. I'm not certain. But what would be your advice for passengers on such plane when this situation ever happens?
All right. So for passengers, I believe for passengers, we should try as much as possible to, be knowledgeable, right? We should make research, because sometimes, some chaos or some pressure might actually lead to a full-blown situation, which could lead to an accident or even a worst-case scenario. So whenever the safety officers, whenever these pilots, these passengers, and these flight attendants are playing their parts, we should try as much as possible to comply with them, because according to the law and the Tokyo Convention, it says a lot of things about the role the passengers too have to play. All right.
Okay, so interesting. I like that. So Dayo was asking something. I think we missed that. Dayo was saying something about the title they gave to Kwam1 being the security ambassador for the aviation sector. Now, what's your perception about that? Is that something good? Is it a good image for the aviation sector worldwide? Now, the way we're going to be perceived worldwide, is it good?
I don't believe that is a good image, because it appears that anyone from anywhere go about their unruly attitude and still get away with it, and at the same time even be crowned as an ambassador. So it passes some kind of message to the public that regardless of whatever situation you find yourself in, if you are of high status, there's a tendency you might even get some kind of credit for whatever you did.
Interesting. Oh, interesting. So I'm going to take us back a bit, because I know that a sitting senator and former governor in Nigeria, Adams Oshiomhole, had issues too at the airport one time, talking about boarding time. Now, boarding time before the plane takes off, sometimes 1 hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes. But is there standard number of hours or minutes worldwide, or it varies with airlines?
Okay, so boarding time varies depending on your destination, depending on the capacity of the aircraft, depending on the flight operations generally. It differs, all right? There are some cases where we do not plan for some situations and they occur. So some things might happen which could lead to delays, disruptions, and all of that. So I can't really say this is meant to be the stipulated amount of time, all right?
Okay.
That's basic.
Okay, so now my main question is, so if the boarding gate is closed and obviously the plane hasn't taken off, it's closed, and I get there a bit late, and I'm trying to apologize and say, oh, Ife, please, something came up, but I really need to fly, this. Don't you think that the airline crew, don't you think they should have a level of empathy? Or is this a standard that it's closed, it's closed?
Okay, so like I said, there are protocols, there are activities we tend to do, like pre-flights and while in flights and post-flight. So if we all have to delay a particular aircraft because someone pleaded and we are trying to like show empathy, right? You realize it's going to affect the whole operations in that particular flight. As a matter of fact, it's going to affect the other legs, depending on the kind of destination or the kind of operation that is being done. It's going to affect the other legs. There are slots that are being paid for. If you exceed the time limit, you are expected to be penalized for it. So we work in accordance with a time frame. So if we have to accept the plea of just one person, any other person can come. Then before you know it, you have 2-3 people pleading back to back, and before you know it, we won't even be able to go ahead with the operation for the day.
Oh, okay. So just before we
let. In rare cases.
Okay.
That's in rare cases. There are some cases that could be rare, all right? And yes, when we factor or weigh our options and we realize it's not going to affect so much, we can let the empathy come in that scenario.
Okay. So just before we let you go, I just want to go back to this Kwam1 and Emerson issue. So, because people were saying, well, if Kwam1 wanted to bring liquid on board, then you should have used the private jet and all. So, I just want to know, even if you use a private jet, is it still proper? Is it still appropriate to come on board with liquid? Your private jet.
So, whether you are using a private jet or what have you, according to regulations, there are some things that are forbidden. There are some things that are prohibited on board an aircraft. We call them, dangerous goods, because there is a tendency they are capable of posing a risk to health, to safety, to the aircraft. So imagine, getting, to a certain altitude, and as a result of, so much pressure, it tends to affect whatever you're carrying, whether it's a container, a pressurized can, and all of that. You realize the jeopardy is going to cost. It's going to be more than actually just following the rule and putting it aside.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation, Ife. Thanks for joining us. But then before you leave, just final words to passengers who might want to fly. What's your advice to them when it comes to etiquette and proper behavior online? What's your advice to them?
All right. So my advice is the pilots, the flight attendants, and everyone at the airport are law, enforcing and safety officers. So regardless of how they tend to approach us in most cases, it's very important for us to understand that everything they are doing is always in the interest of your safety. So let's try as much as possible to comply with them. And of course, even the pilots and the flight attendants too, and every other airport staff should try as much as possible to put themselves in the shoes of these passengers and treat them with respect, because the aviation industry is not just about having planes in the sky. It has to do with factoring what the public perception, what they feel about us, and making them feel really welcome and respected.
Thank you very much, Ife. It's been an interesting conversation. Thanks for joining us online. We hope to have you some. We hope to have you some other time, and maybe that time physically. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bumi. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a wonderful.
Well, that's it, and we learned so much about aviation there, and how to go about it. Interesting, cool one. So when people come on board, better ways to fly, so we can have seamless flights.
With these few points of Ife, I hope we've been able to take something, because excuse me, I've been able to take one or two things, so you understand. And as a new flyer, we should try to obey instructions. We should not say, do you know who I am or something. We should just for our safety,
keep our status and personality to ourselves. Let's just fly and land.
Obey the rules.
Yeah. Okay, guys, it's time to go, Dayo.
Yeah, I'll see you next weekend. My name is Kendi Adedayo. Bye for now.
I'll see you too also next weekend. My name is Elizabeth Shalario Kweke. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's been an amazing show. Do take care of yourself. I am Bababumi Agbibi. Bye-bye.